Good evening. Welcome to everybody, and thank you for coming out tonight. I am Pastor Sarah, one of the pastors here at Gethsemane. This is number 3 in our summer series of community forums. We sit at the beginning of the summer, actually in the springtime, and kind of brainstorm what topics need to be talked about. What things are happening in our community or in our world that maybe aren't getting talked about as a community. And we knew this summer that we needed to talk about race. It's certainly every time we turn on the TV or the newspaper, it's an issue that is on the forefront all the time. And so we know that we need to talk about race. We also know that this isn't a one and done kind of thing. It's a conversation, it's a journey, it's part of a process that needs to start and keep going. As a community, we need to be mindful of issues that face people of different races and ourselves and how we interact with people of all races. So it was important for us to be able to offer this tonight. We also knew that we needed to start at the very beginning. And that's where our speakers will help us go tonight, help us kind of understand ourselves and the ideas and the feelings that come up when we think about race and different issues related to race. So we have our speakers. We're happy to have with us Paul and Akiko Maker. They own and run a business called Interculturist, and they'll tell you more about that as they are doing their presentation tonight. Just a small bit of housekeeping. They will be speaking until 7:40. At that time, you are invited to write down any questions that you have on the sheets that are provided. We'll let them know it's that kind of 7:40 time period. They'll do a few minutes of closing up. We'll collect the questions. We have a moderator that will be moderating the questions. If we get lots of questions, yours may not be answered, but he'll kind of try to thumb through them and get the similar themes and make sure that those are answered. And we know again that this is a process and a journey, so we'll collect the questions at the end and hopefully continue to address them as a community going forward. There was also some green sheets when you came in. You'll be invited to think about your intentions or desire to have ongoing participation in the role of conversations. You can fill that out at the end based on how you're feeling about our conversations tonight, and if it's something that you really want to participate in an ongoing piece of being part of race conversations within our community, not simply this congregation. So with that, I'll introduce to you Paul and Akiko. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you very much, Pastor Moat and Pastor Nelson. Thank you very much for inviting us and having us come and talk with you this evening about a very important topic, as you mentioned. I love the way that you framed it as being part of a process in the beginning of a conversation, because indeed that is what it is. It is a process to talk about, and to continue a conversation is very important. Before I introduce myself and she introduces herself, I want to ask you just a very quick, I want to make a request of you, which is for you to look at me and to think about what you notice about me. Okay? And to do the same for this person here. Okay? And I'll come back to that. Well, you're right on. I'll come back to that. So as Pastor Moat said, my name is Paul, and I am part of a consulting business called Interculturalist, and my partner here is Akiko, and she will introduce herself as well. And our consulting business works with organizations and teams and individuals around working with diversity and thriving within diversity and living within diversity. And it's a great job, because I think the world needs this type of thinking about how we can not just survive or tolerate, but thrive within diversity. And that is our goal, and that is our mission in this business. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm not originally from Minnesota. I don't know if you can tell from my accent. Somewhere along the way, I lost it a little bit, maybe a lot. But I use certain words like y'all and fixin' too. So that might give you a little bit of an indication of where I'm from. I'm from the South. I'm from Texas originally, born and raised actually in Texas. And moved up here been about 10 years. So I am becoming a little bit familiar with Minnesota. But I have some interest in diversity and thinking about commonality and difference because of my family. My parents moved around a lot when I was younger and took me to places, dragged me along to different places with them because of their job, where I sometimes looked different to other people. And caused me to start my journey into thinking about what it means to be different and what it means to be alike. My family, my parents adopted a son, another son. I'm not adopted, but my parents adopted a son, my brother. He's biracial, black and white. And that started me to think about difference as well. And especially because some of my relatives were not so happy that my parents had adopted a biracial son. Along the same lines, as I grew up, I moved internationally to China, lived in China for a while, lived in Japan for a few years, for a reason you might be able to guess why. And very interesting experiences, very good experiences, and taught me a lot about being white, being a person who was not like everybody else. So it was a very good experience. So my motivation for doing this comes from personal experiences like this. I will let you introduce yourself.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you from me too for having us tonight. And I want to tell you a little bit about myself as well, so you can begin to get to know me. And hopefully I will have future opportunities to get to know you as well. My name is Akiko, which is a very common Japanese name. That's where I was born and raised in Japan. And I've only lived in the US for my adult life. So culturally, I'm very, very Japanese. But somehow I'm living very happily in Minnesota, here in the US. Well, my name is Akiko Maker. So I don't know how familiar you are with the name Maker, but Maker is a very German name. So I'm probably the only, or maybe one of only few makers in the world that looks like this. So it's been an interesting experience for me to be a maker, living in Minnesota, working like I am now in a second language, in a foreign culture. So it's been a very personal matter for me too, to think about multicultural, multiracial life. And now Paul and I have 2 children. How old are they? 11 and 13, both boys. So we raised these 2 incredible boys who are biracial, bilingual almost, and bicultural, interfaith. What is it? What do you say to nationality? Huh? No, you have a word for that. Dual national. Thank you. Who helped me? Thank you. See, I do this. You have to excuse me for asking for certain words sometimes. So, basically, talking about race and other types of differences that we have in us and among us, between us, is part of our personal life, and then now also professional life. And it's been in our academic life as well. We do research as well. So it's an important topic for us, for me personally, and we are thrilled to have this opportunity to talk with you about these kinds of things. And when you see the topic of the forum today, it doesn't sound like a best comedy necessarily, but you're here. So we're very grateful and excited that you're here to spend some time with us thinking about race.